for this Austin Realty update. Alta Mira is over on the far west side of Circle C West. I don't know if you've ever sold anything in there.
Never before. This is all you.
It's a nice, newer than average portion of Circle C West. It was built by D.R. Horton. But what you see here, and what I was trying to point the point previously in the previous part on Circle C in general, is if you look at the total sales, second quarter versus second quarter last year,
right?
Negligible difference. You could actually argue that based on units sold, 4 versus 4, and the fact that the days on market have basically gone more than in half, that the price could have been skewed by just one home as far as the median price sold. In other words, one larger home versus one smaller home last year. So the median price is less interesting to me when you only have 4 transactions. It can be highly skewed by one transaction. And there was a fairly large home that sold this year versus last year. But what you're seeing here is, if we saw that giant jump in sales in Circle C, we're not seeing that it came from places like Alta Mira. And I think this is be typical if you look at the average neighborhood in Circle C. You're not going to see the huge jumps. And I haven't gone through and dissected all of the neighborhoods yet, but I started looking, and when I got to the second or third one, this is what I saw pretty consistently. Not a very huge jump in sales. Now, some did a little bit better than others, and they had some turnover. It tends to be the areas where you see sort of entry-level Circle C, like Circle C North, or you see Circle C proper over off La Crosse near Escarpment. People buy in there, and then they maybe want to buy something newer or bigger, and they move into Circle C West, for example, or they move into new construction. Those areas are tending to see a decent clip of sales. Their problem is like at the rest of Circle C. You don't have enough inventory. So when you look at this, it certainly wasn't a sales volume increase. The median price went up, but I think that we can arguably say that was skewed on a transaction. So this is just an example. The market is healthy. There's not enough inventory. Right now in Alta Mira, there's a couple of listings available, and that's it. So when you look at the market in Circle C, I think you're going to see a disproportionate amount of everybody shift into new construction, don't you?
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, and we started with that back in the news today, talking about the fact that this is going to be a challenge overall in Austin, but in highly desirable areas where you're talking about a phased project, I think you could take people, you know, if KB Homes in Fairway had 50 more lots, they would be tickled because they could probably sell them all in the next 12 months. Just because of a lack of options. And we've talked a lot about new construction. All right, Perry, I promise you we'll get to more questions from listeners next week. As we wrap up here, I just wanted to put the email up. It's obviously info@austintexasrealestatetoday.com. Perry and I have had a couple of special topics we've covered recently, but we will get back into questions. And I have seen some questions percolating out there. One was in my email directly, not from this, about the when do we get into issues with appraisals. So I'll dig one of those up for next week, and we'll get into some specifics. Well, Perry, this is episode 15. We're in the books on it, and I think we're going to continue to see a fairly tight market. We may even make it past Thanksgiving, don't you?
I think so. We're going to make it.
You know what I'm talking about, buddy.
We're
going to see some strange anomalies because of the lack of inventory. You know, because you have this constant inflow of people. I mentioned somebody coming in from Nevada that will be in here in November. And there's an aggregate enough of those, and there's not, and here's the comment they made about rentals before people think that, oh, let us rent a house while they figure it out. He went and looked at possibly renting, and he's like, well, I can't even hope to rent something. There's nothing for rent. And if I do, they're going to want at least a year lease. And so as a result, it pushes people right back around if they're able to purchase into the purchase market, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it does.
Good. Well, all right. We will be back for episode 16 next week. Again, send us your questions. And I don't know whether it'll be next week or one of the following 2 weeks, but I will get on our mortgage expert to talk about Dodd-Frank. And Perry, I appreciate your time, and have an awesome week.